Good morning. Today is the 20th of December, 2022. Sorry, I almost got the date wrong, or the year wrong. Glad we're coming up into 23, so maybe that's why. Today, as you can tell, still another standing video for, as explained before, why it's still a thing. I wish I could say it's getting better. It's livable. If you notice, I've got Napoleon to my left, Napoleon to my right. Yeah, back in the day, I was a bit of a, what do you call it? Napoleon. I did a whole, what do you call it? A whole study on him, which I really enjoyed. A fascinating character. Anyways, today I thought we'd take a little trip down memory lane just to distract myself from what I already talked about, my condition. The distraction will be my first trip to Paris and the journey to get there. Started off in Amsterdam for... This was the 80s, so at the time there was one place where the legalization of a certain product was in full swing. We took advantage of that. Plus, I was on a bit of a, I think I mentioned already before, I was a bit of on a Napoleon pilgrimage, if that's the proper word, just highlights of his life. Starting off in Amsterdam for obvious reasons, plus that was what my traveler wanted to do. That was on the top of their list for things to do in Europe. Okay, I took advantage of it. Why not? It's fun. The thing is, we took the Orient Express from the Netherlands to Austria. I already told you the Austrian leg was for the Congress of Vienna, which I wanted to see, the Belvedere. I already gave you the highlights of that trip. But turns out that, if I remember correctly, the Orient Express actually traveled through Belgium, past Waterloo, not past Waterloo, but I knew it was in the vicinity. And so that was, at least, we didn't stop, but I knew I was at least in the area where Waterloo happened. So that was that. We got to Austria, got to see the Belvedere, which I explained. That was my clip moment. And now, turns out that at that time, the Berlin Wall had just fallen. And I had my ticket to Paris, or we could go to Berlin. I mean, it was an open where to do, what to do. I really struggled with it. I wish my co-pilot was, co-traveler, was a little more adamant on his, but as far as they were concerned, what I wished to do was fine by them. That was a real toss-up for me. Be where history is happening, or follow through on my pilgrimage. The toss worked out that I did the pilgrimage. I don't speak German, so I thought that would be a bit of a sticking point. Second of all, it would be a madhouse. Good luck in trying to find accommodations. We already set up for in Paris and all that kind of stuff. And hostels and all that kind of stuff, but we were set. So it wasn't that difficult. Although I do think it was interesting that I was in a German-speaking country at the time of the fall of the Berlin Wall. So anyways, now we get down to Paris, and of course my highlight, I already gave you my Eiffel Tower story. This one will be, and pardon my pronunciation, Hôtel des Invalides. I actually, I looked it up online and I did the pronunciations and I just can't get it right. So for me, it's Hôtel des Invalides. And hope for the best. Pardon for not having the proper pronunciation of the word. beforehand, and remember, this is the 80s where there was no internet. I did some research. I knew where I was going, and this was my trip to the Notre Dame, Hotel des Invalides, Eiffel Tower. That was the itinerary. So I knew what to expect-ish, but I don't, well, even when I was there, the grounds, Hotel des Invalides is a, it's actually was created to be a retirement home for veterans of war, built by Louis XIV, and it shows. It's a magnificent building, very Baroque, very, I don't know, it was black. It is black. I don't know if it's the, what do you call it? The stones were black, or if it's just soot from pollution. Either way, it worked. I mean, being black, the church, I forget the name of the church that on the grounds where Napoleon is buried, is magnificent. And everyone who sees it will recognize it in that it's that black cupola with this magnificent gold leaf covering it, shining it out. It's a magnificent building. I mean, it really struck me in awe, and I'm really glad that I didn't know what to expect going to see it. I knew where it was, I knew how to get there, but I hadn't seen many pictures of it, or I knew very little of it, actually, to tell the truth, other than where it was. And I didn't know what to expect, and that actually, for me, was the best way to see it, because it was, I was awestruck. I mean, it really was that cool. Because, of course, there's the grounds, and people use it now for picnics and all that. And that was grand. I really enjoyed that. The Eiffel Tower is very close to it. So is, actually, it's all within walking distance, even from Notre Dame, but you can't see it from where this locale is. Anyways, and then you walk into the church itself, and you go downstairs. I think there's an awning, if I remember correctly, overlooking the tomb. When you go down, there's his tomb. There's his sarcophagus. Very elaborate, but pretty low key too. I mean, it's a Baroque inspired building, but I would say that the tomb itself was ornate, beautiful, pinkish, dark, rusty, blackish marble. It's a very inspiring. It's very I guess awe-inspiring would be the right word. It was really cool. And then around it in white, as I remember, it's that vivid for me. White columns with his, I think it was 12 of his major battles surrounding him. I mean, it was pretty a fitting end to like him or dislike him. He certainly made his mark on history, and the French honored that. As far as I know, I don't think they're necessarily admiring the empire that he won and lost with a lot of blood. But he did change the course of history. If you're using metric, that you can thank Napoleon for that. If you're living in a democracy, he has a little bit to do with that too. Yeah, exporting the revolution might not be the way to go, but it was back then. The 19th century was we thought the 20th century was bad. 19th century wasn't much better. Anyways, I just wanted to give you a distraction. I wanted to give myself a distraction from what I'm going through, and thought I would give you my Hotel des Invalides story. I hope I said that right. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Hope you have a good rest of the day.